saying that I blew it. I'm sure we've all seen that TV show where people get, I think it's RA or you win the lotto, and then all of a sudden you're a multi-millionaire. You have.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. I hope that you guys are doing well. So today I'm gonna be going to an event. It's a Young Professionals Connect event hosted at Discovery Church in Florida Road. So yeah, thanks to one of my brothers that I recently just connected with. He's a pastor there, Pastor Bongani. So right now we're about to head there. I'm very excited to be going to attend this event because I'm getting out of my bubble. I'm trying to network more. I'm trying to connect with different people. So yeah, today that's what I'm gonna be doing. It's Saturday, and we're gonna be going there. And after that, we're gonna run some errands. If you can see my hair, I need to go get a haircut, and maybe we'll go somewhere to eat with my brother. And yeah, so come along with us, going there to the Young Professionals Connect event. I believe it's going to be great because there is different people there. There is people who are chartered accountants, there is entrepreneurs, there's lawyers. It's a great opportunity for young people, so come along with me. I'll try to make as much content as I can while I'm there so that you guys can also gain something from what I'll be learning on that event. So let's go. If it's your first time on this channel, maybe you just discovered it because it's a new channel. This is my second video. Please ensure that you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, because I've got another channel which is a podcast channel, Beyond the Vision. So you can search Beyond the Vision on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere, LinkedIn, you'll find me. Please ensure that you subscribe, you follow me, you like our videos, and give us your opinions on the comment sections. We'll really appreciate that. So please. It's going down today on the road.
Continue on Gladys Manzi Road for 1.5 kilometers.
Alright, we are almost there at Florida Road, and I'm a little bit late. Actually, I'm very late. This event was supposed to start at 9, but here I am at 9:30 pulling up. Very late. It's not good, but yeah.
Exit the roundabout onto Florida Road.
As long as we've made it, that's what's important, right?
In 200 meters, your destination will be on the left.
Yeah, that guy made a mistake that worked on my favor. I was gonna take the other road. Now he made a mistake which favored me. How nice. Alright, sure.
Your destination is on the left.
Okay, so generally what catches people out, and how in my experience in practice have I seen people, I guess, retracting or running away from purchasing property? It's because they're not adequately advised about the costs, the implications of buying a property. You need to make provision for transfer costs. As the transferring attorney, I then send you a bill and I say, Bawinile, you need to pay for the transfer costs. The cost for our firm to move this property from the seller into your name. And then the bond attorneys that I told you about earlier, that Ubawinile are going to be registering the bond for, they also put up a bill and say, Bawinile, you're registering a bond, so you also need to pay for bond costs. Now what generally happens is that people look at a property and they think it's 2 million rand, and they think I have a bond, and then they relax. And that's far from the reality. okay? Because then I speak to you and I say, I need transfer costs, and then your bond attorneys who are going to be registering the bond that you've asked the bank to register on your behalf also call for costs. And then there's sometimes other charges, miscellaneous charges that are associated with it. And before you know it, the bill is skyrocketing high because you didn't make provision and you were not aware. Also, you need to factor into your budget of purchasing a property what bond repayments are going to look like. Are you going to be able to afford making those type of bond repayments? So whether or not you're aware, we have what we call a repo rate, and from time to time, the South African Reserve Bank will tell us, the repo rate has gone up, the repo rate has gone down, right? And you ask yourself, what does that have to do with me? Well, if you're in the process of buying a property, or if you're in debt of any kind, paying for a car, getting into buying property, it does affect you. Because the repo rate determines the relationship that the bank, or the interest rates that the bank will charge you. So it determines the types of repayments and what they look like. So if the repo rate increases, then the interest rate increases, effectively meaning that the type of bond repayments or car repayments that you're making is going to increase. I hope that's clear. Okay. So there's transfer costs, there's bond costs, there's the municipal clearance certificate. When you're purchasing a property, guys, as the seller, you need to make sure that the electrical components of that property are clear. You cannot just sell a property willy-nilly. You have to make sure that the electrical components are up to standard, and an electrician who is registered can actually confirm that and issue a certificate. You need to make sure, because we're along the coast, that there's a beetle certificate. So your entomology. So we have the beetle eating, wood eating insects. And we have to make sure that, there's fumigations that are done on the property and there's clearance for that. So as a conveyancer, I ask for all of these different things as the seller. Where's your electrical compliance certificate? Where's your entomology or beetle certificate? To make sure that when this property comes into Bawinile's name, it is clear of all of these things. And oftentimes sellers make the mistake of thinking, I'm just getting rid of this property, it's giving me a headache, and they aren't aware of the costs that also have to come out of their pocket. I've told you what you need to make provision for as the person buying the property, because this is essentially what you need to know. The seller also has quite a number of things that they need to pay for. Okay, I've explained transfer duty, I've explained rates and levies. So maybe let me get into the do's and don'ts when you are looking at buying a property. Okay? So maybe let's look at the do's. So you need to read the offer to purchase thoroughly. You need to actually satisfy yourself that what you have read makes sense to you, and waiting times. At least if you know what you qualify for, you're not wasting any time for the bank, for the conveyancer, for anybody involved, and you know if you still want to see a transaction through. Okay? Verify. It would be a conveyancer that essentially or ultimately advises on what this property looks like, if there are any conditions to this property. But you can investigate this on your own. Estate agents do help you, and they do deed searches. They're quite advanced at this stage because they are able to try and cut, time, in half. As opposed to it going to the conveyancer and the process starting from the beginning, they are able to do their own deed searches and tell you exactly what's going on in the property. Look at all this. Look at all of the special conditions, right? Look at the defects, right? Look at what is defective about the property. You need to satisfy yourself about what is defective, and if you still want to see the agreement through, and then ask your conveyancer to explain everything. Okay? Let's look at some of the don'ts. What you should not do. You shouldn't sign an OTP because you're feeling pressured. Because you've seen the property, you went to go view it, you really liked it, and the agent is breathing down your neck. Trust me, they will do it, and they will make you feel like you're compelled to do it. If you're not in a position, you and yourself know what financial position you're in, you know what your financial situation looks like, so you wouldn't want to bind yourself, because then when you have to make those bond repayments, it's all for you and you. Okay? Do not assume that verbal promises, a very important element, while it's still being litigated in court, you can never ever purchase a property verbally. It's as to legislation today that if you are buying a property, You're buying in a complex, you're buying a standalone property, it doesn't matter. If you are buying property, it has to be reduced to writing. And it has to be clear that what you are buying as a property, the property needs to be described, the price for which you are purchasing the property, the location of the property. Importantly, I always say it's better to buy a bad looking property in a good neighborhood than a wonderful dream home looking property in a bad neighborhood, because the location of your property determines what the price looks like. Okay? Don't forget to factor in your monthly bond repayments, because if you're going to approach a bank and ask for a loan from the bank, you need to know how much you're going to be paying back in those installments back to the bank. Okay? So you wouldn't want to be hit with a bill where you thought because you're buying a 2 million rand property, it's going to be what at least you thought. Sometimes it can look too good to be true. And sometimes and oftentimes it is a little too good to be true. Okay? So don't ignore the defects. Okay? What the seller has disclosed, you still need to scrutinize it yourself. I'm not talking about what they may choose to conceal from you. That's a whole nother conversation. But what you can see. If you can see that there are things that are defective about the property, you need to either raise that, and if you still want to see the sale through, at least you've applied yourself and you're aware that there are defects on this property. Because once you sign on the dotted lines, that's your defective property. Okay? Do not confuse what a transferring attorney does and what a bond attorney does. You went to the bank to apply for a bond, that's who registers your bond. That's the bond attorney. I, as Tuli, will then transfer the property. I have transfer costs that need to be settled. So there's two types of costs that you need to make provision for. Never to confuse the two. And in my experience, and in a very recent, unfortunate matter, a buyer left a deal because there were also bond costs they didn't make provision for. They saw our pro forma account, I beg your pardon, and they thought, well, this is paradise. And then they hadn't communicated with the bank. And the bond attorneys were like, hi, ma'am, we would like to, this is our bill. And they were like, no. So they left the deal, okay? And luckily the seller was amenable with mutually cancelling the agreement. Because if the seller says, I'm not walking out of this deal, guess what? You're going to pay for that, okay? So also another very big one, we are prone to cyber crimes. You know, our emails, our phones, things like
I have that big picture of you saying that I blew it. I'm sure we've all seen that TV show where people get, I think it's RA or you win the lotto, and then all of a sudden you're a multi-millionaire, you have all this money, but then when we watch the episode, we see all the bad decisions that they make. And then everyone, when they watch that show, they always say, if this was me. Everyone says, if this was me, I would have done it differently. I'm so sharp. I can just, but the reality is, the only difference between them and us is the scale at which we blow it. Some of us are blowing our NSFAS while they are blowing 1 million. There is no credible evidence that shows that we're in that. If you were given that well, yes. So it becomes something that we need to really take into account. That it's so easy to look at someone who's got 1 million and say they're blowing it, but you're blowing 100 rand. And there's this principle that says how you do anything is how you tend to do everything. And the real issue is the lie that people tell themselves is that if only I could make more money, right? Also, the media team and I are in sync. Because that's the big lie we always tell ourselves that, hey, if only I can make more money, I'll be richer. But I want to challenge you today to maybe look at the context a bit differently. I was going to touch on investments and what type of investments to make, where you should invest your money, but I think there's something more important that we need to talk about, which is our relationship with money, right? And we need to break down some of the misconceptions we have about how wealth actually works.
Economic development. I'm currently working at Toyota, but that's just my work experience. I've worked at VWSA when I was doing my training. Currently I'm working at Toyota. So I've also At some point, maybe 2018, was given an opportunity to go represent South Africa in Japan, where I also worked for the same company for 2 years, and back at my current company. So I've worked as an engineer. I started at Toyota as a graduate. I became an engineer. Where's Ketilin? And then also became a principal engineer. And became a manager, and currently I'm a senior manager. And yeah, that's more like it. And then regarding my skills, if you're in engineering space, you will know the skills that are displayed. I used to specialize and still love anything that's got to do with designs. Anything that's got to do with designs. That's my space. And automation and robotics. So I work for Toyota, right? I'm sure you see the videos of things moving around. That's me behind there. That's my space. Also, because I do a lot of projects, I work in a project planning department. So there's a lot of projects that we do. I have actually, this is a skill I've actually acquired in the workspace, because I didn't study much about it. And of course, because I'm in leadership now, it's also one of the skills I have. Right. One thing I appreciate about coming here to say I work for Toyota and something I need to declare. You know, once you tell people you work for Toyota, they think you sell cars. And then as I go out here, someone's gonna tell me, hey, I want a Fortune. Hey, I want this car. I'm like, no, guys, we produce cars for the dealerships.
What a long day.
Continue on M4 for 12 kilometers.
So guys, the event was nice. It was very informative, and right now I'm on my way home. I don't know, I was thinking of going to grab something to eat, maybe a McDonald's or something, because I'm very hungry. It's been a long day, but made a lot of connections with people, and all I can say is that expect incredible guests on Beyond the Vision, because I made some connections with incredible people. You know, professionals, chartered accountants, you know, attorneys, entrepreneurs. So expect more on Beyond the Vision podcast. And yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Right now we're just gonna go grab something to eat, maybe a McDonald's or something, I don't know, or we'll eat at home, because now they were giving us finance advices there that we shouldn't spend too much, so we might just go and eat at home, ne? We can eat at home, ne? This guy's not responding, but I'm talking. Yeah. Right, guys, just arrived home from that event. It was very wonderful. So yeah, this is the end of the video, guys. Make sure that you subscribe, go follow me on my other social media platforms, and subscribe to my other channel, Beyond the Vision podcast, and stay tuned for more content coming. Thank you. Peace.